I want you to just put yourself in Rachel's shoes for a second here.
Oh, man, yeah. The other rookie.
Right. You are a rookie hunter, and you're dropping into literally the deadliest C-rank dungeon in the entire city.
And things go bad immediately.
Exactly. The ceiling is literally collapsing. There are massive boulders raining down everywhere. It's just pure chaos.
It's just absolute panic.
Yeah, and through the dust, you're watching the city's top hunter, right? Cohen Anderson.
The guy leading the whole raid.
Right. You watch him swing his glowing sword at this falling boulder, but he doesn't shatter it. He angles his blade.
Deliberately.
He deliberately redirects this massive crushing rock right into the face of the quiet mage on the team, Noah.
It's just a calculated assassination attempt, right in the middle of a raid.
And you watch the impact. You hear this sickening crunch as the boulder just flattens the spot where Noah was standing.
Terrifying.
And then the dust settles. And the silence is deafening. But then the rubble shifts.
This is the best part.
You watch Noah just casually walk out of the crushed rock. He doesn't have a single scratch on him. He calmly dusts off his clothes, looks at Cohen, and says absolutely nothing.
Not a word.
And Cohen just glances back and also remains completely silent. So you are Rachel, standing there, realizing you just witnessed an attempted murder.
That both the victim and the attacker are aggressively ignoring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Welcome back to DeepLore for our third deep dive.
It's a crazy one today.
It really is. If you've been following our analysis of the source material, you know how we got to this standoff. In our last deep dive, Noah broke the system by unlocking infinite mana.
The blank focus stat.
Right. And he immediately bought the camouflage skill, making himself invisible. But he still got forcibly drafted by Cohen into raiding Solael's castle.
Yeah, the grace period is over. He had 3 days to prep, and today we see what he actually did at that time.
Today is the ultimate payoff. The mission for this deep dive is to look at what happens when Noah's theory-crafted infinite mana build actually gets tested.
Tested against Titans and, well, against Cohen.
Right, against the most volatile human hunter in Outer Bank X. Because surviving a B-rank assassination attempt doesn't just happen by accident.
No, definitely not. It's the result of this really methodical build strategy that Noah puts together in Chapter 11.
The layering strategy.
Exactly. We see his overarching vision here. He isn't just buying random spells. He's systematically buying defensive and support skills designed to be turned on.
And never turned off.
Right, which is huge. Because for normal hunters, their focus stat is a hard bottleneck.
Like even for the top tier elites, right?
Oh, absolutely. Every active skill slowly drains that pool. Like if you're a tank, you pop your shield for the 10 seconds a boss is swinging at you, and then you drop it immediately.
So you don't burn out your battery.
Exactly. You literally can't afford to keep it running.
I like to think of a normal hunter's focus stat like computer RAM.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, like you can run a heavy video editing software or a high-end game, but if you try to open 15 demanding apps at once,
your whole system just crashes.
Right. But Noah doesn't just have infinite RAM. His system completely bypasses the battery. Every skill he turns on just runs in the background. Forever.
Which is wild. He's layering Arcanist's Sphere of Protection, Arctic Armor, Danger Sense, Aura of Haste, Life Essence. And because they never deactivate, their proficiency just keeps skyrocketing.
It fundamentally rewrites how combat even works.
Yeah, I call it asymmetric resource warfare.
Oh, I love that term. Break that down. How does that apply here?
Well, normally a dungeon raid is an economy of attrition. Hunters spend mana and stamina, hoping the monster runs out of health before they run out of energy.
Right, it's a race to the bottom.
But Noah isn't playing that game. He spends 0 energy to maintain an absolute defense. He isn't trying to outlast an opponent's stamina. You know, his mere existence outlasts them.
Because he's building toward having a dozen active skills running simultaneously.
Exactly. Like, what does that ceiling even look like? How do you fight someone whose shields literally never drop?
But I mean, an unbreakable defense only stalls a fight.
Right.
It doesn't win it. To actually survive Solael's castle, Noah needs to kill things. And the way he gets his lethality is by completely inverting how mages usually fight.
Oh man, the explosive rune reveal in Chapter 12.
Yes. Let's talk about the explosive rune because it's a C-rank skill, but normally the hunter community sees it as a total suicide button.
We really need to explain the mechanics of why that is, to show why Noah using it is so crazy.
Go for it.
So, your typical mage is a glass cannon. They stand in the back, stay safe, throw fireballs. But the explosive rune requires a physical trigger.
You actually have to touch the target.
Right. A squishy mage has to run up to a massive raging monster, physically plant the rune and detonate it, and it drains their entire mana reserve to do it.
You have to empty your gas tank just to touch the enemy.
Yeah, and then you just have to pray the explosion kills it before the shockwave or the angry monster crushes you.
It's a literal death sentence for anyone else.
Yeah.
But Noah applies that asymmetric resource warfare to it.
Right, because of the infinite mana and the permanent shields.
Exactly. For Noah, it's not a suicide run. It's literally just a deadly handshake.
It flips the whole skill from a desperate last resort to just like a casual primary attack.
The first time he tests it on the goblins is so good. He uses his camouflage, jogs up to these massive 3-meter tall green goblins.
Just taps them on the shoulder.
Literally taps them and jogs away. The black tattoo spreads, he says the command, and just bang, instant missed.
But the real payoff is the Goblin King fight.
Oh, we have to give this the full dramatic treatment. This scene is incredible.
It's brilliant because it relies entirely on the physics of his layered defenses.
Okay, so Noah walks into the boss room, drops his invisibility, and just stares down this 6-meter tall, pitch black, Titan-class boss.
Just standing there.
The monster charges, throws this world-crushing fist down at him, and Noah, who's, maybe 1.5 meters tall, just raises an open palm.
And then that sound.
Yes, the fist connects, and the text just describes this sharp PAH sound. But Noah doesn't even flinch.
You have to look at how the Arcanist's sphere works here. It's not just a physical wall, it's a kinetic sink.
Right.
When that giant fist hits, the sphere aggressively absorbs the momentum and dumps that energy into the user's mana pool. But Noah's pool is infinite.
So the Titan's just punching a black hole.
Exactly. The ground shatters under Noah's feet from the displaced force, but his body takes 0 damage.
He catches the fist, the rune transfers, and the boss's arm just explodes into chunks.
It's so satisfying.
Then it swings the other arm, kinetic sink absorbs it, second arm is gone. He tries to kick him, loses the leg.
He's just systematically dismantling a boss that would normally take a highly coordinated team to beat.
But then we hit this super pivotal psychological moment. Noah climbs up onto the chest of this mangled Goblin King, and he looks down into its eyes.
He recognizes the look on its face. It's fear.
Yeah.
The text explicitly connects this back to his trauma. It's the exact same paralyzing fear he felt hiding in his basement during the apocalypse, listening to monsters kill his parents upstairs.
See, I'm going to push back on this narrative choice a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, does this emotional parallel actually land for you, or does it feel a little too engineered?
How do you mean?
Well, there's a very fine line between actual trauma recovery and just a neat revenge fantasy. Having the protagonist inflict the exact terror he felt onto his enemies, it feels a bit like a power fantasy trope, pretending to have psychological depth.
I get what you're saying about it being a bit neat structurally, but I'll strongly defend it.
Why is that?
Because this whole progression fantasy genre is fundamentally about gaining control in an unpredictable world. Noah isn't just grinding numbers, he's actively confronting his own powerlessness.
By traumatizing a monster.
By inflicting that specific fear on the things that represent his trauma, yeah. He's closing a psychological loop.
I don't know, I would counter the closing the loop by becoming the exact monster that terrified you is a really precarious way to heal.
But is he becoming a monster or just reclaiming his agency?
He's standing on its chest, clinically analyzing its terror. That takes a level of detachment that is, frankly, a little concerning.
That detachment is the point, though. It shows you how far he's moved from being that terrified boy. It might not be healthy by clinical standards, but in this brutal magic system, claiming agency often looks like absolute dominance.
Okay, fair. He is using apathy and dominance to take back his power, which sets up a really fascinating collision course.
Because he's about to walk into a dungeon with Cohen.
Right, a man whose entire magical existence runs on fear. We finally get to see Cohen Anderson's stat panel in Chapter 12, and we have to talk about how his power works.
Yeah, Cohen is not a paper tiger. He is legitimately terrifying.
He really is.
He has a B rank skill, giant strength, and his vitality and strength stats are nearing 200, which is absurd for this point in the universe. Plus, full C rank gear.
But the kicker is his inherent skill, wrathful.
Yes, his power mathematically scales with his anger.
Which creates a crazy psychological profile, right?
Yeah.
He is hardwired by his own magic to require dominance.
He needs people to fear him. When they fear him, his status is affirmed and he stays calm. But when they defy him...
Or even just resist a little bit.
Right, he gets angry, and his wrathful skill literally injects him with more physical power to crush them.
It's just a self-sustaining loop of tyranny. The system literally rewards his worst personality traits. The more he acts like a dictator, the stronger he gets.
Which is the exact opposite of Noah's silent, detached approach.
Exactly. But before these two clash, we get this great preparation montage in Chapter 13. Noah goes back to the lower dungeons to grind, and he hits some crazy milestones.
Proficiency level 100 on Fireball and Arctic Armor.
We need to explain what max proficiency means here, because it's not just a minor damage buff.
No, it fundamentally changes the physics of the spell.
Yeah.
Visually, Noah is completely transformed. He's literally encased in thick crystalline ice now. He looks like an Arctic knight.
In his basic, starter-level F-rank Fireball, it condenses, moves faster, and hits with more force than actual E-rank skills.
Just because he can run it constantly without draining mana, he's bridging the gap to higher tiers purely through repetition. The game is broken for him.
And then he finalizes his loadout right before the raid. He buys Whirlwind, increased penetration, regeneration, and a ring of storage.
His final panel before the castle is just staggering.
14 active skills. I won't let that number land for a second. 14.
All running simultaneously.
Tucked under the surface of his camouflage, giving him absolute defense, speed, healing, and he's not losing a single drop of energy.
He is a walking fortress.
Which brings us to the gates of Solael's castle, chapters 14 and 15. And the atmosphere shifts completely.
It's not just a dungeon room.
Right, it's a whole world. They step through the portal, and they're in this massive forest, with a medieval castle looming on the horizon.
It's an entirely different ecosystem, and it's filled with these 3-meter-tall golden statues that kill regular C-rank hunters all the time.
Let's talk about the team dynamics when they start clearing these mobs. Because Cohen is aggressively leading from the front, just demanding absolute compliance from everyone.
The two mages, Dina and Stacy, are terrified. They're spending so much mental energy just trying to keep up with him.
While Rachel, the other rookie, is just quietly confident.
And then there's Noah.
Noah is deploying an absolute masterclass in sandbagging.
It's almost insulting to Cohen, honestly. Noah only visibly uses one skill the entire time. Flames of Torment.
But because it's maxed out, he's not just throwing fire, he spins it into this highly compressed, deadly disc.
Like a buzzsaw, decapitating the statues.
Yeah, it's super flashy, which distracts everyone from the fact that his 13 other skills are running completely silently underneath.
He's putting on a light show to hide the fortress.
Exactly. But Cohen is watching him, and Cohen is getting really unsettled. Not by the fire disc, though.
No, he's unsettled by what Noah isn't doing.
Right. Noah is never out of breath. He never asks for a mana potion. He isn't sweating.
He shows zero fear. Not once.
While the rest of the team is fighting for their lives, feeding Cohen's need for dominance, Noah looks like he's on a brisk morning walk.
And you can see in Cohen's internal monologue how much this offends him. His wrathful skill demands submission, and Noah is giving him absolute neutrality.
Cohen just decides he has to break that neutrality. He needs to see the bottom of Noah's power.
Which brings us to the climax, the Boulder.
Right back to our opening hook.
Yeah.
The final boss room. The Titan triggers this desperation move, collapsing the ceiling. It's total chaos.
Everyone is scrambling, tanks are raising shields, the mages are diving for cover.
And Cohen is just effortlessly smashing boulders with his B-rank lightning blade. Until he manufactures the accident.
He deliberately lets his blade slip.
He alters the trajectory of this massive chunk of stone, sending it straight into Noah's face.
Rachel sees it happen in real time.
The devastating impact, the silence, and then the rubble moves.
Noah just walks out, dusting himself off, completely calm. His Arcanist sphere processed the entire kinetic impact of a Titan's boulder, pushed by a B-rank hunter, and just dumped it into his infinite mana pool.
So, let's unpack this standoff. Because they both just stare at each other. Who actually won that moment?
I will firmly argue that Cohen made a massive, arrogant mistake here.
You think so?
Absolutely. He showed his hand way too early. He wanted a reaction. He wanted panic, a scream, tangible confirmation that Noah is weak so he could validate his own dominance.
And he got absolutely nothing.
Right. He got silence. By trying to force submission, Cohen proved to himself that his intimidation tactics, his main psychological weapon, are totally useless. He played his trump card and lost all his leverage.
I am going to push back on that analysis pretty hard, actually.
Okay, let's hear it.
I do not think Cohen made a mistake. Not tactically. You're looking at this purely from the perspective of Cohen's ego, but look at it from the perspective of a raid leader.
A very toxic raid leader.
Yes, a tyrant, but he's a surviving B-rank hunter. He didn't get there by being stupid. He intentionally tested the great unknown variable on his team, and he learned something incredibly valuable.
What value does he gain from realizing he can't hurt his own teammate?
He learned the exact ceiling of Noah's durability. He learned that this supposed rookie mage is durable enough to tank a Titan's boulder to the face without even flinching.
Okay.
In a life or death dungeon, verifying that your weakest link is actually indestructible kinetic sync is wildly valuable information. He now knows he doesn't have to protect Noah. Tactically, he just stress tested a tool.
I hear your point on the tactical utility, I really do. But the text heavily implies Cohen isn't thinking about logistics in that moment.
You think he's just acting out?
A good raid leader tests a teammate during a skirmish, not by dropping a ceiling on their head during a boss fight. That is the action of a narcissist whose worldview is fracturing.
I suppose the immediate aftermath does support him taking a psychological loss.
Yeah, Cohen is so devastated by Noah's silence that he vastly overcompensates.
It's true. Right after the Boulder incident, Cohen pivots back to the Titan boss and unleashes this pure, unadulterated assertion of dominance.
He is furious, and his wrathful skill is happily converting all that fury into raw, overwhelming stats.
He activates giant strengths and his blade of lightning. He intercepts a world-ending punch from the Titan, completely stops its momentum with brute strength, and just obliterates the Titan's head in a massive explosion.
It is a spectacular display of power.
And then he stands on top of the rubble, literally pulsating with red light from his rage, and stares down at his team,
silently demanding their fear.
But the hollow nature of that victory is so apparent. He won the physical battle against the Titan, but he fundamentally lost the psychological war against Noah.
Yeah, Noah's silent, unbothered invincibility is a terrifying counter to Cohen. Noah just doesn't care how hard Cohen can hit because his system says he cannot be hurt.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating, somewhat uncomfortable question to consider as we wrap up.
Yeah, it really does.
We talked earlier about Noah using his trauma to dismantle these monsters, and using apathy to dismantle Cohen's psychological attacks.
Right.
But as he layers on more and more infinite skills, literally building an unbreakable icy fortress that separates him from physical harm, is he actually healing from his past?
Or is he just building an impenetrable wall between himself and the rest of humanity?
Exactly. Is he risking becoming as detached and monstrous as the things he's fighting?
Because if your ultimate weapon is feeling nothing, where does that leave you?
That is the true powder keg sitting in Outer Bank X right now. Thank you all for joining us for this deep dive into the source material.
It's been a wild one.
As you go about your day, I want you to picture Rachel standing in the dust of Solael's castle, watching the most powerful man in the city realize that all his wrath is entirely useless against a man who feels absolutely nothing.